Okay, we're going to take a look at our almost daily review that we've been doing in class. Our oral drill and review on the perimeter of a rectangle. First, let's get the words out of our mouths. The perimeter of a rectangle is calculated by adding up the height and width of every side. All right, let's say that again. The perimeter of a rectangle is calculated by adding up the height and width of every side. Good, make sure it's flowing. Go ahead and say it all by yourself. Put a little jazz on it. Get ready and go. Good. The perimeter of a rectangle is calculated by adding up the height and width of every side. Fourth grade, how is the perimeter of a rectangle calculated? By adding up the height and width of every side. So one more time, how is the perimeter of a rectangle calculated? Good. Now, when we say that whole jingle, but then we need to symbol spell the formula correctly. Go ahead and listen as I symbol spell the formula for perimeter of a rectangle. Capital P with a little rectangle next to it, equal sign, capital H plus capital W plus capital H plus capital W. That's right. Capital P with a little rectangle next to it. Remember, we write that rectangle smaller and lower. So capital P with a little rectangle next to it. Equal sign, capital H plus capital W plus capital H plus capital W. Go ahead. It is your turn to symbol spell the formula for a perimeter of a rectangle. Pause the video and symbol spell the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. Now listen to Miss Ali and see if you got it right. Capital P with a little rectangle next to it, equal sign, capital H plus capital W plus capital H plus capital W. Now then, remember that perimeter of a rectangle is a parts and whole relationship. And so we use that to problem solve. When I know the whole perimeter, I subtract the dimensions that I know to find the other dimension. Then I find half of the other dimension. So if you know the whole perimeter and you know if you know the whole perimeter of the rectangle and you know the height of the rectangle, how will you find the width of the rectangle, that width dimension of the rectangle? Go ahead and pause the video now and answer that question. So if you know the perimeter of the whole rectangle and the height of the rectangle, you will subtract both heights from the perimeter to get both widths. You'll do perimeter minus height. Or you could add up the heights and then do perimeter minus that number. But you need to subtract both heights from the perimeter, and that will give you both widths. Once you have both of the widths, you will need to divide that number by 2 to get just one of the widths. Say the perimeter of a rectangle formula 3 times. Go ahead, pause the video and say it. Put a little jazz in your voice. Okay, we're back. So the same formulas that we use for perimeter of rectangles work for squares. Do not forget that you're always going to say and write the formula you're going to use before you use it. Squares are a special type of rectangle, just like a Dalmatian is a special type of dog. It's just one type of dog.